Okay, guys, gals, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for you guys coming in. If you came in late, welcome. What we were trying to sort of execute there was a foundation. Keeping in mind that the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is a 12-step program. It is, listed as a... That's beautiful, thank you. It's a fellowship of men and women that share their experience, strength, and hope, but it is also a 12-step program. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous, if you're not engaged in the program, in the process of recovery, you're not in AA, you're in something else, some other thing. And it's not to be insulting, it's not to be splitting or any of that kind of stuff. It's just to set it up so that because everything that we're going to talk about has to be transmittable. If I've got a brand new guy and I do exactly what Mark did with me and I qualify them as an alcoholic in a 5-minute conversation, and then I ask them, do they have a power? And they say no, and I say, are you willing to have a power? And they say yes, I emphatically assure them on our way. And then I get into the third step and I talk about what Chris talked about, that toxic self-consciousness, that selfishness, self-centeredness, and that we believe is at the root of our troubles. We think it's alcohol. We come here understanding it's alcohol or drugs or the circumstances or the problems of our life, but we find out it's selfishness and self-centeredness. And we got to get to that stuff. And we have a way of doing that, and it's the process of steps 4 through 9. But we can't get there unless we set the foundation. Nobody will do this work unless they believe they're going to die if they don't. And if you come to Alcoholics Anonymous, you don't drink for 6 or 8 or 10 months or a year and a half, and some idiot like me gets up on you and starts telling you about these steps, it's going to be a rudimentary exercise at best. But I got to tell you, when I'm working with someone who's desperate, when I talk about the parking lot of my home group, when I talk about meeting a guy one night and taking him through the steps the next, it's not rudimentary. They're doing this stuff because they're going to die if they don't. They have experienced this pain and this sort of this lifestyle that's going to kill them if they don't do something about it. So I want to be really clear about that because we often slow people down in the process, right? We guys, just entertain me here and do the third step prayer with me, okay? I talked to you about this idea that you're subjecting yourself to a position. You're going to take a position that God is the Father and you are the child. And then it says we're going to now at step 3. And if you ever look at page 13 in your big book about Bill Wilson's experience, when he was asked 5 years later, he says, hey, Bill, what happened to you? Well, I got sober. How'd that happen? Well, I was in the hospital. I'll describe that. And he describes it. He describes that process. I'll get it in a second. You guys keep holding hands. So, we will. Yeah. So he describes that process. And he talks about Ebby being at the door and then Ebby getting closer to the bed. And he said to Bill, he said, do you remember that beef we were having at the table that day? You told me to get lost? And he said, yeah. I said, well, what do you think? And Bill said, well, I must have something. And he said, would you say a prayer with me? And Ebby said a prayer almost identical to this. Almost identical to this. And this is Bill on page 13 describing this prayer. We'll just pause for a moment, then we'll say it together, okay? God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and to do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do Thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help, Thy power, Thy love, Thy way of life. May I do Thy will always. Okay. Now you're working with somebody and you've got them in this position. This is a commitment to follow up with the rest of the steps. That's what this prayer is. There's a commitment in there to follow up with the rest of the work. But listen to how the book describes what comes next. We don't make this stuff up. Us guys who look like we're rushing people through the steps didn't make this up. It says, next. I do that, and then it says, next, we launched on a course of vigorous action. We didn't make that stuff up. I'm not rushing anybody through the steps. If I've got you on your knees and we're sitting having this conversation and we say this prayer together, just like our friends here held hands because of committed to this stuff, committed to this life. This is the demonstration. It says, we launched on the course of vigorous action, the first step, which is personal house cleaning, which many of us had never attempted. Though our decision, our third step decision, is vital and crucial, I think that means pretty important. It's not going to have any effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and be rid of the things in ourselves which have been blocking us. The at once is the first time you're exposed to a time frame in Alcoholics Anonymous. That means now. It's the first time you're exposed to the concept of now. We're going to do this now. What is the point of actually doing that, saying those words, unless you don't mean them, unless you're saying those words, what's the point? Unless you're ready to do this stuff. Because that toxic self-consciousness is what's blocking you. And we all have common manifestations. Alcoholics have common manifestations of self. There are many manifestations of self throughout the world. We see them politically, we see them really politically here. But I have no opinion on the United States politics. But there are but common manifestations for alcoholics. If you get into a big room and you're doing these workshops and stuff like that, you see people's heads bobbing when you talk about this toxic self-consciousness around resentment, for example. Oh, people are out there pissed off. Their heads are bobbing, and then you talk about fears, and then you see a whole other section going. And then you talk about sex conduct, and you see a whole other section, usually all sitting together, going. And it's like, so we have these common manifestations, which I think this is really the magic of putting us all in the same room together. Because can you imagine, with those common manifestations, if we were all drinking, even this group right now, we were just having a few drinks. Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, we're 6 or 8 deep. Yeah. You know, we're all talking to each other. And imagine about 2 o'clock in the afternoon what it looks like. 5 o'clock in the evening. How many guys are scrapping and how many guys, I like the way Carl Morris separates them all. How many guys are in the crying corner and how many guys are in the scrapping corner. But the one thing that we have in common is we always come back to the drink. And because that treats that toxic self-consciousness. That's what it feels like. Okay? So, we have to get rid of these things. These things that block us, we got to get rid of them. The common manifestations are resentment, fear, and sex conduct. So what I do is I get a piece of paper, and when I'm usually doing this stuff, I'm going to rely on your guys' memory. If there's any new guys here, anybody here who's never done a 4-step before, attaboy, thank you for being the honest one. Okay, so what I want you to do is, if you want to talk about it afterwards, you come up and talk about it. And it might come off as a little gruff. You have an example right here in your book. I swear to God, I didn't make this up. This is not the 4-step according to Marty. This is just me following directions from my workshop partner on a piece of paper. The same, he's going to read it from the book. And the beauty of this is there's no confusion. I got a stack of 4-step inventory guides in my house like this that I show my guys all the time. Says, you want to know more about yourself? Right here. But let's do this first. This first, then that. The Hazelden 4-step inventory, many of you have seen that. Bryland step 4. A lot of treatment centers come up with their own 4 steps. Wonderful. Learn more about yourself. That's beautiful. But do this first and then that. And I got to be honest with you. I was 23 years old when I got sober, and I looked at this inventory here and I thought, how lame is that? It's too lame. You guys heard a little bit about my background. It's like, oh my God, really? Really? I was 23 years old in prison most of my adolescence and young adulthood. I had never had a relationship. I had never had a job. I had never had any of those things. And I look at this inventory and I think, how lame is that? Now, I'm 59 years sober. I'm married. I got kids. I got a career. And I look at this and I think, Mr. Brown was a piece of shit. And I only said that because Chris was going to wear the t-shirt today, but he didn't wear it. Mr. Brown needs his ass kicked, you know. But you look at that, it's his attention to my wife. He told my wife of my mistress, and Brown might get my job at the office. He's after his job, he's after his wife, he's after his house, and even down at the bottom it says she might move Brown into the house. This guy's all over it. And this is the stuff that eats our lunch. And so we're asked to put this stuff on paper. And first thing we're going to look at is resentment. So what does it say? What does it say about...
It says on our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries.
Okay, so you got a grudge list. You got a blank piece of paper, and on the top it says grudge list. Again, we didn't make that word up. It's in your book. It says you got a grudge list. I don't know if you did that or you didn't do that, but let's just play along. And so you got a grudge list. Who you pissed off at? Give me anything. Jack, give me something. Who you mad at?
Dave.
Who?
Dave.
Okay, somebody else. Who? My boss, a prick. Who else? Who? Somebody say something else? My wife. My mother, my father. Okay? This is your grudge list. You won't be able to read any of this shit at the end anyway. Pardon me? God. All right. I'm going to put God up here just in case we get a chance to get back to it. You can put God down there, but I'm going to put it up there because I want to have a brief conversation about it. Has anybody else ever been mad at themselves?
Yeah.
Almost everybody when I do this says self. Now you have to understand, I'm pushing through this only because I don't have a full board, okay? And I need something to wipe it off. Rig fairly quickly. So you got a grudge list. All the names go down. Nothing counts but thoroughness and honesty. Those are our instructions, right? Nothing counts but thoroughness and honesty, not accuracy. Accuracy isn't part of it. You know, a lot of people say, what if I miss somebody? And so they don't start writing anything because they say, what if I miss somebody? And we don't meet people in AA to get drunk all the time because they do the 4-step wrong. We meet people that get drunk all the time because they don't do the 4-step at all. Under that kind of thinking, the Chris Schroeder kind of thinking we heard about in drinking so that he could prove his sobriety. That kind of thinking is exactly what stops people from doing a 4-step. And the idea is if you just follow the instructions, you got a grudge list, you put down, you go back through your life. Nothing counts but thoroughness and honesty. Questions that are often asked are how far back do I go? Oh, I don't know. Go back to the beginning. How's that? First time you remember being pissed off, sore, hurt, burned. It tells us, gives us the instructions there. Where was I resentful? Sore, hurt, burned, threatened, pissed off, upset, interfered with, ever. I go back through my life and I put down the names. I just write in the names. This is easy. This is the shit we're talking about at the bar. No, it's actually, we're doing that stuff at the bar. Talking about that at the bar. That's easy. So we have this grudge list. Now when it says we set aside, we're going to set aside what's going on. This is the act, right? So that's the act. Okay, so that's your grudge list. We just did that, right? And then over here it says the cause. All right? Nobody can't do that. You know why you're pissed off. Who said boss? Why are you pissed off at your boss?
She overwhelms me, but too much. It's too much work.
Too much work. Overwhelms me. I like overwhelms me. I like that. That's more blaming. That's healthier unhealthiness. Okay? So what else?
About her?
Yeah.
She's
She talk down to you?
just no, but she just orders the way she talks. What's that called?
Demanding. Condescending.
Dictates, yeah.
Demanding. Dictate. All right. So you're going to do that through your boss. That's how it's going to look. And the cause. Everybody can see that. Can you see that way back in the corner?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Then the next column is affects mine. Now, there are a lot of people in newfangled AA talking about an extended third column and all that kind of stuff. That's all lovely if you've been around here for a little while, but don't confuse new people with that shit. Let's keep it simple. It says, how did that affect me? And the book says, what?
Was it our self-esteem, our security, our ambitions, our personal relations, or sex relations which have been interfered with?
So you see the third column there? You got 7 areas of self that you can choose from. They're giving them to you. If I ask somebody, like, it depends what you put up here, and you ask somebody, oh, how did that affect you? They immediately get Freudian. They immediately get these ideas and concepts of philosophy that, well, I guess I wasn't loved enough as a child, and that's what they start talking about, which is fine. You know, I think good conversations for down the road. It won't exist if you do this work, but it is what you do. Your mind automatically goes to this deep, complicated thing. But you answer me the question. So I'm mad at my boss. Why? Because she overwhelmed me. She dictates and she's demanding, and it affects me. How does it affect you? Does it affect your self-esteem?
Yeah.
What else, Chris?
Personal relationships.
Does it affect your personal relationships?
Security,
Write it all down too. Don't do this. Security,
Yes. Yeah.
ambitions,
Yeah.
security, ambitions,
Pocketbook.
pocketbook.
It's work.
Pride.
Did you give up? Did you quit on me?
sexual relations.
Yeah. You're still talking about your bitch boss. I hope she's not in the room. Is she in the room? Okay, so I want to be clear here. You're going for this. You just put it down, write it down. If that's all you're doing. Okay, so now this is our inventory. So I'm looking at this person. I'm upset with them. Why? This is the reason. How did it affect me? It affected me this way. I'm going to do a couple things here that may be new to some of you here. Not to some of you also, but it might be new to some of you here. Our book says that we've always looked at it from this angle. Is that what it says? It says we turn to the list or whatever?
Yeah. We turn back to the list where it held the key to our future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle.
So I've always been looking at it like this. I've been looking at my friends and my therapists and my partners, and I'm bitching and complaining, and this is the way it is, and I've always looked at my inventory. Now I'm going to come over here, and what does it tell me to do? So I'm going to look at it from an entirely different angle. What does it say?
It says, referring to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others have done, we resolutely look for our own mistakes.
No, what about the sick man prayer?
We turn back to the
Okay.
list.
Yep.
We
Keep
turn
going.
back to the list for it held the key to our future. We were prepared to look at it from a different angle.
So I'm going to look at it from this angle. Go ahead.
We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us.
Okay?
In that state, the wrongdoings of others, fancy or real, had the power to actually kill. How could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. This was our course.
Yes, there it is.
We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick.
Stop. Perhaps? What's her first name? What's your boss's first name?
Alyssa.
Alyssa. Is perhaps Alyssa spiritually sick? Perhaps?
Perhaps.
Okay, keep going.
Though we did not like their symptoms
These are the symptoms.
and the way they disturbed
That's
us,
how it disturbs me.
they, like ourselves, were sick too.
She's sick, I'm sick, everybody's sick. Got it? Here's the 4-step instruction. What does it say?
We asked God to help us show us the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend.
God save me from being angry. Check. I only put that there so you know you've done this. You're going to have 9 million resentments, perhaps. But you're going to just say that prayer. You don't have to mean it. You can say it through gritted teeth. You just say, God save me from being angry. The reason that we identify that as the prayer, because a lot of people say to me, but what about dead people? How can I help the person? It's very important to get into your fiber. But this idea about the prayer, the sick man prayer, we call it the sick man prayer, the 4-step prayer, God save me from being angry. It isn't about page. What's that page?
All the way in the back.
What is that?
I don't know, way far.
They've changed it in all the editions, but that one about if you have a resentment towards somebody, pray for them. This is what,
The joy of bondage or something.
that one. It's the joy of bondage. Yeah. That's a whole different book, brother. So in the freedom from bondage story, and this is what the old guys would say when I was getting sober and you were really pissed off. They would say, oh, you need to go and you pray for that person for 14 days and have all the things you would wish for yourself, and that resentment will vanish. And they got that from a story in the back of the book about a story a woman read while waiting in a doctor's office out of a magazine. And we call it AA, and it's not. This is what I mean about how entrenched AA philosophy and ideology can become when it's just repeated over and over and over again. And I'm asking Chris to read me the instructions for this 4-step so that anybody here who's never done a 4-step can go, holy shit, that's the 4-step. So I'm angry at this, my boss, Alyssa, this is the cause, it affects me this way, my self-esteem, my personal relations, my security, and I'm going to say, God, save me from being angry. I'm just following the instructions. Now, what does the last part say, Chris? What does it tell me to do?
When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man, how can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry.
Yep.
Thy will be done.
Yep, keep going.
All right. Referring to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others have done.
Stop. Referring to our list again, putting out of our mind the wrongs others have done. So take this away. All right? What does it say? We resolutely what?
We resolutely look for our own mistakes.
Stop. What'd you do to her? Come up with anything. Don't worry about it. We won't judge it.
I don't know.
You take your time. You take your time and you do this because there'll be something. The first question we're asking is what I do to her. This isn't the only example I'm going to use, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So you think about it, okay? So hypothetically, I want to stretch this out so we can make it. So let's say...
Maybe I was late to work.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Lateness.
Attitude.
Now,
Yeah.
lateness. Attitude. Like it.
Lack of communication.
Okay, so for years, in the 4-step inventory, and I did it myself, we would have a section here that said my part. You guys remember that shit? Here's the interesting thing about us alcoholics. Don't cheat.
Marty.
Your part. I don't know an alcoholic who doesn't think like that.
Yeah.
And our book says, we know that we've done something. but we're certain the other person did much more. Our book even says that. I don't make this shit up. Like, this is what it tells us. So we used to put my part here at the end. And I got to tell you, it deflected you away from the truth. The book says, what were my mistakes and faults? What did I do to that person? Well, I was late. You know, I wasn't punctual. That doesn't bode well for her. She's my manager. And I had a bad attitude some days. Wasn't as effective as I could be as an employee for her because of my attitude. That is good work. That's one resentment. That's good work. Okay? Now, what does the book tell me to do after that?
Where have we been selfish?
Okay, so I'm going to tag all of this stuff with that. But the book asks me to look at this again. And it says, I'm going to, where does it tell me?
Absolutely look at our own mistakes.
Where does it tell me to dismiss the other person entirely?
Though the situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other person involved entirely.
This is my gift to you today. This is the other angle of this inventory I don't know anybody does. Everybody's surprised when I bring this up. Okay, this is what I did to her. My mistakes and faults. Then it says, okay, let's dismiss the other person entirely. Let's take her out of it. Let's take Alyssa out of it. Have I ever done these things to anybody? That's your inventory. And I don't know what I wrote there. What did I write there? But what's the next one? Have you ever been demanding? Have you ever been demanding of your children, your partner? Have you ever been demanding of them? Give me. So again, hypothetically, she might say, I've been demanding of my husband, John. I'm demanding of my kids. You know? And the question is, where was I selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or frightened? So I write that beside here. So my attitude is selfish, right? Self-seeking. What did I put there? Late? That's selfish. Self-seeking. Demanding, selfish. Self-seeking, selfish, self-seeking. See what I'm saying? So you're tagging this stuff with those questions. That's what it's asking us to find. Your inventory is this, not this. People think they get shit-faced because of this. That's what they think. It's because of this. Stay with me for 5 more minutes on the resentment piece, and I keep losing the cap.
Here, Marty, I got to
Thanks. Yep. Okay. Because you guys can see that back here, it's gonna be good. I'm really happy about that. Learning that I can actually do this on a smaller board is helpful. Very helpful. Now, you're in your AA life, you're sitting down, you're writing inventory, you're in the darkness of the confines of your own residence, you've been charged with this task by your sponsor. This is not a feel-good exercise. We had a wonderful example of a boss, okay? No problem. I'll share that with you guys. No problem. You're going to be writing down some stuff that is painful. And I've met lots of people in here where I'll say, okay guys, anything this won't work for? My father molested me for 7 years. Whoa, that's awful. Come here, let me give you a hug. Let's talk, right? It's your inventory. You're sitting alone in your home writing this stuff down. You need a phone near you. You need people around you that are ready, consideration buddies and partners. Yes, you do. But watch this. Watch this. I'll have people say that. It won't work for this. It won't work for that. Almost every man that I've ever spent any time with has been molested to some degree or another as a child. Almost every one. I'd say 3 out of every 4. I used to say 2 out of every 4 or 1 out of every 2. I say now it's probably 3 out of every 4. So here's how it works. I'm angry at who? Mr. C. Mr. C was, I'm 8 years old. There was a Candyman in my neighborhood, and a legitimate Candyman, not the guy pulling up in the van. He was a legitimate Candyman. Kids would come home from school every day, and he'd open up the door. His name was Mr. C. He was an old guy, and he would give gumballs and licorice and all that kind of stuff. One day he asked me if I could give him a hand helping out, and I went into the kitchen. I was just doing some dishes and stuff, straightening around, and he molested me. I'm 8 years old. Cause. I'm 8. Mr. C. Okay. What'd they do to me?
Manipulated.
Thank you. Go with it, guys. He manipulated me. What else? He betrayed me. He conned me. He used me. He lied to me. I've done this many times in big groups, guys. I've got them all. Some people say, stole your innocence and all that kind of stuff, right? This is what happened. This is what he did to me. You got any more? Broke my trust.
Shame.
Shamed me.
Shifted your outlook.
Shifted my outlook. That's what a lot of people say, stole my innocence on. Some of that stuff confuses me a bit, but it's your inventory, right? Look, you guys are feeling it with me, I hope. This disclosure has been one of the biggest and most wonderful tools I've ever been able to use to help people get motivated in this inventory. So this is this piece of shit. This is what happened. Okay? This is what he did to me. How did that affect me? Play along. Did it affect my self-esteem? Give him the 7 areas of self.
7 bangers.
Yeah, give him the 7 areas of self, and you guys say yes. Self-esteem?
Did you say 7 banger?
Yes, he did.
That's what he said. Next one.
Sex relations, security.
Sex relations.
Personal relationships.
Sex, personal relationships.
Ambition.
Do you know what? How it affected my personal relations? Trust. I could not be around old people for years. Years. And people are wondering often to me, well, what does personal relations mean if you're looking at all this other stuff? My personal relations are my identity and how I see the other people in the world. So sex, personal relations, ambitions, security, pocketbook, how come?
Well, if you feel a certain way about yourself, then you're not going to put yourself out there to be all you can be, and therefore your income.
That's a good perspective. I put it on there because I was making $1.85 a week in prison. You know? That's how it was Brian who said to me, how much money did you make while you were in prison? I said, $1.85 a week. I'd say that affected your pocketbook. You know? Okay, so self-esteem, sexually, what am I missing? Pride. Okay, goddamn sepfecta. I hit the sepfecta, right? All 7 areas of self. Okay? Now, therapists, COs, sponsors, everybody wanted to talk about this. Everybody. My parents didn't even know. I didn't come alive with this until I was 14 years sober and had that experience with Mark. I never talked about it, I never told anybody. You can hear my old tapes and CDs. There's nothing on there that would indicate the truth about this. But here it is, I'm looking at it from this angle, and I've always looked at it from this angle. And I can bristle with antagonism. I can be filled up with an anger and a rage and a what's wrong with this world perspective. But what does the book tell me to do, Chris?
Putting out of our minds the wrongs others have done us.
The other angle. We're looking at it from another angle. The sick person.
How was it? We realized that people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick.
Yes. Any objections?
No.
Perhaps spiritually sick, Mr. C? Go ahead.
Though we did not like their symptoms,
Those are the
way
symptoms.
they disturbed us,
That's
they
what
like
disturbed
ourselves
me.
were sick too.
He, like me, is sick. Not in the same way. He's sick, I'm sick, everybody's sick. Right? So I can see that. And then what does it tell me to do?
We ask God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience we would cheerfully grant a sick friend.
And?
When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man, how can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry.
That's the prayer. God, save me from being angry. That's the prayer. This guy's long gone. God, save me from being angry. So I put the check mark. I've said the prayer. Then what does it tell me to do about it says referring to our list again or whatever?
Putting out of our minds the wrongs others have done, we resolutely look at our own mistakes.
I'm talking about dismissing the other person entirely. My mistakes,
Where
my
have
faults.
we been selfishness?
Okay? So the first question is, what did I do to him?
Trusted him.
Who said nothing?
Nothing.
Talking shit
Yeah.
about a child.
Yeah.
I've used that one down here before too. For years I've talked shit about it, right? But how about nothing? And anybody in here, I'm going to give you 2 points that you need to consider. One is a victim never gets sober. And 2 is nothing is an acceptable goddamn answer here. I was in Philadelphia were you there that day when I was talking about in Philly? And I said something about this inventory, and someone in the back says, you went for candy. I said I was 8. You know, I was 8. You know, I don't have to find fault. What are my mistakes or fault? What did I do to him? Nothing is an acceptable answer. Let's go with that. And if you've been victimized, brutalized, and all, we'll never take that shit from you. Never. Because it's probably the truth. But if you stay a victim, you're dead. You're dead. And we're giving you the freedom right here, right now. I don't think anybody knows how powerful this tool is. I don't think they know until they do it. And so it says right there, it's like, how about nothing? I did nothing to him. Now watch this. Watch this. Don't go to sleep on me here. This is the most prodigious piece of the inventory I've ever written. I hate my father. My father was a violent man, a terrible man. And then I did this work, and my inventory cleared, and my amends were made, and we had a beautiful, beautiful life on his checkout. Power of Alcoholics Anonymous was known to me early on. But watch this. What does it tell me to do?
It says we tried to disregard the other person entirely.
Let's take him out of there.
Where were we to blame? The inventory was ours, not the other man's.
Have I ever manipulated?
Yes.
Holy shit. Any manipulators in the room? All you women, put your hands up. Men do it too. Who said ouch? I was only kidding. So I've manipulated. Now, that's not good enough. I've manipulated my mother, my sister, anybody who would come to see me through the glass in prison, which were very few. I would manipulate them. I would con them. I would lie to them. The next one is betrayed. Have I ever betrayed anybody? I told my mother I would never do this again. I told my family I would never do this again. And I betrayed them over and over and over again, thinking I was making choices, but I would hurt them and tear it down. It says we build a bright outlook and we tear it down. You don't think people are affected by that? I betrayed my family over and over and over again. I betrayed friends. I promised friends I wouldn't do things. Their names go down here. It'll be Frank Arthur, all kinds of, so I betrayed people. And then you go down this list, and that's what you do. Who have I lied to? Holy crap. I'm a liar. Who did I lie to? Boom, boom, boom. Now, don't be daunted by this. Don't think that it's your inventory. And if you knew you were going to have to write about it one day, maybe you wouldn't have done all this shit. But the idea is still, it's your inventory. Don't limit it and you go, and where was I selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened? That's what comes up in the last column. And I'm going through all of these things right here. Where have I lied? Where have I don't even recognize my writing here. So, but this is what I meant. And I have this last column. This is my inventory. I wasn't getting drunk and violent because of this. I was getting drunk and violent because of this. This is my inventory. This is the man's inventory. This is the woman's inventory. This last column. So that's the twist. That second piece. I don't see a lot of people doing that. First thing is, what did I do to them? I have no resentment in part to that person. And they move along. It's no, because we're going to dismiss that other person entirely. Have I ever done these things to anybody? And that's the inventory that comes out. This inventory on this guy produced some of the most revelatory information that I needed to move forward in my life. To move forward in my life. And it wasn't because I got over the abuse. You know, it's not something to get over. It's not something for me to work through. It was something for me to be released from. And I'm telling you this because it has now become a tool for me to help others. And since that time, I'm glad it happened. Does that sound stupid?
No.
So I don't wish any of you bad circumstances. You know, an abuse or a molestation or any of that kind of stuff. I don't wish that on anybody. But to come to grips with it, I wish that for you. I wish you to be free of it. And I wish you to be able to talk about it openly and honestly with people and not see yourself as damaged or broken or something like that, but rather an absolute sort of asset in the lives of others. When it tells us that we're going to go from here and we're going to sort of help others, this has become one of my best tools to help people. Help, that's one of my best tools. How does that work? How does that work in the resolution world? Could I have come up with that idea? In the management of my own life, would I have come up with that? You know what I mean? Our lives are unmanageable. So in the third step, I'm going to let this other manager take over. And I write inventory and it's like, oh my God, holy. And then that's what I'm doing. Okay? Cool? Now about fears.
Notice the word fear is bracketed alongside the difficulties of Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, and the employer. The short word touches about everything. So it says here, we reviewed our fears thoroughly.
This is the instructions. Okay, there's some information there. This is just the instructions. We reviewed our fears thoroughly. What am I afraid of?
We put them on paper. Even though we had no resentment in connection with them, we asked ourselves why we had them.
Okay, we'll get there in a second. Rejection. I need some fears. Give me some fears.
Death.
Huh?
Death.
Death. That hardly ever comes up.
Abandonment.
Abandonment.
Going to prison.
Going to prison.
Failure.
Prison. Failure. You know what often comes beside fear? Success.
What do you think of me?
Same guy or girl. Any more?
What do you think of me?
What others think? It's a piece of paper Okay? You've got a piece of paper and you're writing on it just like I am. That's what it's asking you to do. We reviewed our fears thoroughly. We set them on paper. But we're not making this stuff up. This is what it asks us to do. So I'm looking at them. What else? Anybody else want one up there, two up there?
Unlovable.
What'd you say?
Unlovable.
Unlovable. I'm unlovable or?
Finances, relationships.
Finances.
Self.
Relationships. Self?
Confrontation.
For yourself. Confrontation. Okay. Oh, I said I was going to talk about God and self if I get time to look. Fears. We set them on paper. That's what it tells us to do. I've got this exhausted list. Okay? I don't know how big your list is. It's my least area of self as it manifests. That's the smallest area I have. Everybody has Kevin's. That's his biggest. My little road dog Kevin. His anxiety drives him crazy. His feet before they even hit the floor in the morning. He's filled and consumed. He has no resentment. No resentment. Little bit of sex conduct and filled with fear. I've got tons of resentment. Very little fear and moderate sex conduct. Everybody has a different manifestation, but each of them is just how self manifests in you. It's where it shows up. It's where it shows up the most. So here, behind fear, that's where it happens. So the book is a specific instruction. Now don't blink, because this shit is for real. These people who take forever to do a 4-step, I don't get it. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of rejection, death, abandonment, prison, failure, success. Holy shit, okay. The book says, we ask ourselves, why do we have them? Why do I have these? Just follow the directions. You got a piece of paper and you're all alone, just make sure no one's listening and say, why do I have these? Right? And then your mind, your ego will automatically come up with all the suggestions as to why you have all these fears. But if we follow the instruction of the book, what does the book say right after that?
We asked ourselves why we had them. Wasn't it because self-reliance failed?
Do you guys know what that means? Wasn't it because self-reliance failed us? Do you guys remember learning to ride a bike? Do you remember being afraid and learning to ride a bike and your dad or your mom, you remember? Are you afraid to ride a bike now?
No.
Why? Because self-reliance worked. You were asked a question, what are your fears? And it showed up on a piece of paper. Self-reliance has not worked in this regard. You were asked to put them on paper, and this is what came up. Self-reliance did not work. This is where we're introduced to a whole new concept. Go ahead, Chris.
Perhaps there's a better way. We think so, for we are now on a different basis, the basis of trusting and relying upon God.
Sounds like a tall order, but all we're doing is following the instructions. Keep going.
We trust infinite God rather than our finite selves. We are in the world to play the role He assigns, just to the extent that we do as we think He would have us, and humbly rely upon Him. Does He enable us to match calamity with serenity?
So I've got all these problems in my life based on these fears. And now if I just open my mind to the concept that there is something there that's going to help me meet calamity with serenity, we'll keep going through the instructions. Watch what it says.
We never apologize to anyone for depending upon our Creator. We can laugh at those who think spirituality is the way of weakness. Paradoxically, is the way of strength. The verdict of the ages is that faith means courage. All men of faith have courage. They trust their God. We never apologize for God. Instead, we let Him demonstrate through us what He can do. We ask Him to remove our
That's the
fear
instructions.
and direct our attention to what He would have us be.
We asked Him to remove our fears. So just like you said, why do I have all this? You're going to say, God, take all these fears. You don't have to believe it's going to work. You don't have to understand it. You're going to follow the instructions, have this stuff on paper. You're going to say, God, please take these fears. Now I'm going to tip you off a little bit of being around here for a little while. The reason that I know that Alcoholics Anonymous works and that there is a power in here that works with us is that this is the place where it's most clearly demonstrated that for me, if I asked you to duplicate the fear list that you wrote for me today, 2 months later, you would not be able to do it. You would pull out the piece of paper and you'd go, holy shit, where did that go? Where did that fear go? Failure and success, that's not there anymore. Where did that go? It's like, oh my God, where did that fear of, well, prison's going to stick around for a bit. Where did that fear of rejection go? Where did that go? Where was I when it went? Did you guys ever hear the terminology, our fears slip away? You guys heard that? They fall away from us in the 5th step. They slip away. Our fears fall away from us. This is what we're talking about. I asked God to take these fears. And at once I commenced to outgrow fear. It's not like I do anything. I outgrow it. But only if I continue to grow. I have to continue to grow. So that's the fears. Any questions? Any questions on resentment and fears? We're getting through this pretty good.
I have a question.
Fire.
So, when you're doing fears, do you look at them all as a group and just ask yourself about that as a group, or are you looking at individual fears?
I look at them as a group. I list them on the sheet of paper as they just flow out of me. And then I look, why do I have these fears? Because I see them all the same. I don't see a little fear and a big fear. I don't see prison being any different than rejection. And if you ask the person who said those different things, they wouldn't be able to gauge the difference. Their life is being run over by it, and they're dying behind it. A fear of rejection or a fear of success, fear of failure, they're dying behind it. Fear of prison, it's like these are tough things, but I inventory that, and I ask God to remove it, and at once I commence to outgrow that fear. That's going to happen on a moment-to-moment daily basis. It's a practice that actually works. And again, like I say, the inability to duplicate your fears list 2 months later, to me, is so evidentiary that something is at work here. You might have a new set of fears, but you ain't going to have the same list you had before. You do that, and I say you're clairvoyant or savant or something, or dishonest. You're coming from the head, not from the heart. Fears are fears. Fears are fears. Would you believe that I had a fear of public speaking at one time? It's like, how many people in AA will lay a testament that they have a fear of public speaking? We know it's the number one fear in our society is public speaking, more than death. Nobody said it didn't go up there. Hey, we AAs, we get the mic, can't get it out of our hands. Huh? Okay, so, good? Everybody understand that? Anybody can't do that? Anybody think that's ridiculous? It's crazy. I didn't do that. I'm still sober 34 years. Anybody saying that? It's not the way I did it in 1974. Anybody saying that shit? I got a converted group here. The podium's going to stay intact today. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sex conduct. When we're talking about our sex conduct, we're really talking about relationship. We're really talking about how we connect. That's what we're talking about. It can be the human condition. It can be the sexual condition. It can be whatever you want. It has to include all of it. It's how we view our relationships. I ask my guys when I'm doing this to go back to the earliest part of their lives and subject this inventory to their relationship life. And that means your first, you go back there. All right? Give me some. Andrew, give me a pitter patter. Oh, Chris, that's nice. I saw that old picture of you hippies. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So you go back. Jack, give me some. Go back through your life. Somebody? Give me somebody. Names. You guys were in a relationship before at one time, right? Huh?
I said Kathy.
Kathy?
Oh, that's me.
Kathy with a K?
Scott. Sam.
Scott? Sam, there we go. Scott, Sam. Anybody back there?
Stacy.
Jason?
Stacy.
Stacy. Stacy's mom. Anybody back there? I'm putting that down there. Stacy's mom. Stacy and her mom. Anybody else? Guys, okay, it's your inventory. Again, I'm speeding through this as much as I can, but the idea is you're going to put on a piece of paper, you're going to go through that inventory of your own. You're going to say, okay, who was my first love? Like, I can't, do you guys remember? Who was your first pitter patter? Buddy with the purple shirt.
Ann.
Hannah?
Ann.
Okay, so you remembered right away. I saw you going, oh yeah. Ann goes down there. And then, huh?
She broke my heart.
Oh, the bitch. You know what I mean? That's terrible. So but you go through that. You go through your life. You just go back and you try to remember. Now, I get a lot of cowboys in here. It's like, I can't remember them all. Couldn't possibly remember them all. Oh, way to go there, hero. You got to put them all down. One thing we know about this inventory is it's thorough and honest. I told you, it isn't about accuracy and it isn't about discretionary. One guy said, well, I cruise for chicks. And on Barton Street in Hamilton, which is a known place for hookers and drug users, and I cruise for chicks. And he wants to just put cruising. Nope, not okay. You need to please remember something. You know why? Because my daughter's out there. Right now as we speak. My daughter's on the corner that this asshole's talking about. Please, don't. You know, and I'll personalize this all 10 ways to Sunday because you are me and I am you. So don't duck underneath this heroism that you just got so many chicks you can't remember, strippers, hookers. They don't go down in a group. You don't group them. You know, you remember the strip joint you were at. You remember the town you were in. You remember the hair color of the woman. You remember something. It can be the blonde if you want. It can be whatever. But you put it down. You put it down. You know what? There's 6 names up here. There's 50 people in here. Let's say 45, 50 people in here. There's 6 names. There's 500 names that need to be up here with this amount of people. And again, you probably wouldn't have done all the shit you did if you knew you were going to have to write about it one day. But that's not my fault. That's not my fault. So what we do is we take this inventory, we write this down, and we're going to follow the instructions that it asks us to follow. And I want to take somebody. Who said Sam?
I,
You said Sam? Do you mind? Can we use Sam?
sure.
Fair? Watch us inventory Sam. Okay, so we got Sam. Chris, what does it tell me to do?
We reviewed our conduct over the years past. Where have we been selfish?
Okay, before you get there, tell us a little bit about Sam. How old were you?
I was in recovery. We
Yeah?
were together for 11 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, no, that's good. 11-year relationship.
Broken up in 2.
Okay, so 11-year relationship. Pretty hot and cold, pretty confusing, pretty mixed up.
Yeah, it was my first relationship in recovery.
How did you
We
split
were
up?
both sober. I'm sorry?
How did you split up?
I left.
Okay, so you left. All right. Okay, we're going to subject this to these questions, sort of to speed through it, but watch.
Where have we been selfish?
Yeah, so I'm looking at my conduct past. Where have I been selfish with Sam?
Lack of communication.
Didn't communicate.
Judged him.
Lack of communication is a nice word for didn't communicate.
Didn't communicate. Judged him.
I judged him. Anything else? You ever lied to him?
No.
No, good for you.
No.
Anybody in there ever lied to their partner? So you understand it probably needs to be there, but I actually believe it because she was in recovery and she's still here today and was trying to live a different life. But let's stay with this. So you didn't lie to him. You never cheated on him.
No.
All that stuff. Okay. Did he ever do any of that stuff to you?
Not that I know.
All right. Okay, so let's just stick with that right now. There's more, but let's stick with that right now. So I didn't communicate with him. I judged him. What else did it ask me?
Dishonest.
Where was I dishonest? Could be here, didn't communicate. You write that again. Okay?
And then everything was okay?
Pretend that everything was okay.
Pretended. Okay, what else?
Inconsiderate.
Inconsiderate.
Oh,
How?
Hard for Nicoletta to do this, she's perfect.
Yeah, I shouldn't have picked her.
yeah. That's what was inconsiderate. I was too perfect.
You were too perfect.
I was the spiritual one.
Too perfect.
He
Does that?
needed to do the steps. He didn't have an awakening. It was all this shit, you know.
So
It was my own nice, perfect little story.
Less tolerance of him.
Yeah.
You were perfect. He struggles.
Yeah.
So, okay, what does it say next?
Whom have we hurt?
Who did I hurt? By this behavior, who did I hurt?
Us and him.
I hurt Sam.
The relationship.
Yeah, and you left him. You hurt his parents, his family,
I left him after his mom passed away.
after his mom died?
Yeah.
Okay. So I hurt him, and anybody else?
His
You
son.
think? His son?
His son, probably.
Yeah, boy. His son. Probably. I would say probably. for sure.
Probably, but we're still in touch. The son.
So the question is, whom had I hurt? And you put the names down. And usually it's the peripheral players. You know you hurt the individual at some point or another. You know that yourself got hurt in there. But you're looking for the periphery players, the family, the brothers, the sisters, your friends, their friends. You know, your relationship probably meant something. Who did you hurt? Then what does it say?
Did we unjustifiably arouse jealousy,
Bitterness or suspicion?
suspicion?
Yes. Yes.
or bitterness?
You did? Yeah. Arouse what? What'd you arouse?
Try to get him to like respond, you know, in any way. Try to jealousy, bitterness, suspicion,
Oh, yeah?
and just
Did he accuse you of stuff?
no. he didn't.
So, but I
But I'm
did.
speaking generally,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah. And don't speak generally when you're doing your inventory. She's perfect. You're not. Right? She's the only one in the room, and I picked the wrong person. I needed a really defective. Should have picked you, Jack. That's how, we're much more a kid in our defects than our virtues. So, but this, you follow the instructions here, and what does it say next?
Where were we at fault?
Where was I at fault? Where were you at fault in that relationship? Now that has an answer. Huh?
I stayed.
You stayed longer than you should have?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Why?
Yeah.
Fear of change?
Yeah.
Didn't want to fail? Fear of change?
Yeah.
Failure?
Yeah, fear of failure.
The relationship didn't work out. I don't like that. That doesn't
Correct.
taste very palatable.
It's an expression of me and my,
Yeah, it represents-
right?
Yeah.
Where I'm at in my recovery and,
Some selfishness
and I'm
there.
unwanted, I'm unlovable, he hasn't touched me for years, what's wrong with me? I am defective,
Yep.
this is not working,
Yep.
let me be quiet, let me yell, let me not say anything, let me say something. You know, next thing you know, it's like 4 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. Working
And
on
it's
it.
stale,
Yeah.
you know, it's just stale. It
Okay.
just sits nowhere. It
You guys heard all of that, right? I stayed longer than I should have.
And
There's
I'm doing
fear
it
of
because
change.
I love him.
Oh,
I know
sure.
how to love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've chosen him.
And she's she's concerned with the fact that this says something about her, the failure of this
Yes.
relationship. So that's why she stays. That's powerful stuff. Those are powerful motivators. And they are based on fear and self-esteem and security. They're based on those negligible sort of defects of character, right? So when you understand it, when you write about this, you begin to become clear. And don't forget, this is just Sam. Has there been a few others? This is just Sam. All right? Now, what does it tell me to do?
It says, what should we have done instead?
What should we have done instead? So she's got this. She stayed way longer than she should have. She was fear of the change and failure, whatever else I wrote there. So what should you have done instead?
Being more honest.
Oh, stop it.
Being more honest.
I like it. Being more honest. What else? If you hang on, you're going to get a present here. Being more honest.
Communicated my needs, my wants, my observations.
Communicate.
Communicated with him what's going on,
Yep.
you know, where we're at. Being more realistic.
This is just Sam. Be more realistic.
Set boundaries.
Boundaries?
Boundaries.
We'll throw it up there. It's our inventory, buddy. No, but we'll put it up there.
Service.
Yeah, boundaries. All right? Okay, so you got it? What could we have done instead? Why do we have this? Like, what is that?
Our ideal.
What does the book say?
It says we got this all down on paper and looked at it. In this way, we tried to shape a sane and sound ideal for our future sex
We're
life.
formulating a God-given ideal by simply answering the questions. We don't even know we're doing it when it starts to become constructed. What should I have done instead? Been more honest, communication, been more realistic, and had boundaries. And this is in Nicoletta's future sex life. That's what it tells me. In my future relationships, this is what I'm going to bring to the table. Okay? Now, when you go back through your history and you look at that first love, that first girlfriend where you shredded it, you tore it all down due to drinking and doing whatever you were doing and all that kind of stuff, the selfishness, the self-centeredness that's behind that, that's what comes up in your inventory. What should I have done instead? It's going to have some information there. And when you look up and you start putting that, you have an ideal that's that long. Has anybody got their ideal in their pocket? Guys I sponsor carry their ideals in their pocket, in their wallet. And I can ask them when I'm doing a workshop or something, I can ask them to stand up and they pull out their ideal and I'll get them to read it. And you should hear how it sounds. People sitting there just go, oh my God, that's beautiful. You know, and then I'll go to a conference and there'll be 400 people there and I'll see my guy in the corner with Miss New Girl and you know, being all shiny and all that shit. And I'll go, hey! What? Your ideal. What about your ideal? Oh, God damn it. and that's what it's about. That is what it's about. It's being holding your own feet to the fire, keeping this stuff personal and real. I think that is a gift. I think that ideal is a gift. You know, and if you're an Alcoholics Anonymous member who's done this inventory the way it was just instructed to do, you will come out the other side with that ideal. What a gift. So now you can't work against your ideal. Do you have, you don't have to answer. Do you have this in your relationship today? This is one, this is just Sam. Is that in your relationship today? And if it's not, you better start moving towards it. And you ask God to help you move towards it. You ask God to do this because you can't do it. You are no longer the manager of your life. If you try to manage your relationship, it's going to go bad. We all have that experience, right? We have that experience. You try to manage it when you're talking about, you know, you're perfect, which is really hard to live with, by the way, just so you know. I'm going to put that down as a goddamn defect. That's hard to live with.
It is a defect.
Being perfect sucks, you know? And so, but that's a hard standard, right? But you can take this into every relationship you're in, and if it's not there, you move towards it. That's it. That's the inventory. That's the, you know, people talk about, well, what about harms done others and all that kind of stuff. This is all coming out the back end. It's all coming out the last column. It's not hidden from you. This inventory is yours. So when you look at you think you're writing inventory about all these people and your resentments and all that. That's not what you're doing. That's just the information that's going to glean what is supposed to be, you know, discussed with another human being. What am I going for? Where was I selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or frightened? That's what I'm going for. The inventory isn't that I was molested at 8. The inventory is where's my selfish, self-centeredness, self-seeking, and dishonest sort of life around that. Not because of that, around that. And I got to tell you, when it's clear like that, when it's clear and sitting down and doing that inventory, people get their inventory done. They have a magnificent sort of bit of information coming out the other side. They learn stuff about themselves that they never knew. It's not surprises or secrets. It's not that painful stuff that we used to think in the 80s. I can't do inventory, man. What if this comes up? Or what if I've forgotten something when I was a kid? And all that stupid stuff that our ego doesn't want us to write at all. This is the place where the ego intercepts the most. Right here, when you're asked to actually do something. It's the first time you're being asked to do anything, is in step 4. First 3 steps, you know, you're just following this guy in a couple minutes, you're doing it, and bang, now you got to do inventory. If the other reason that I get so emphatic about this is because if everybody starts doing it the same way and stops trying to be a goddamn individual or some sort of specialist on human nature or something, if you just follow the instructions, we have a tangible message of recovery that we can share one alcoholic to the next. And everybody knows what you're talking about. Everybody knows what's happening. It's not a secret. So that's it. That's the 4th step. I don't know what time to break it right now. Let's break for how long? Break for lunch? Okay, lunch. How long did it take?
Hour 15.
Was it?